Hello, back again to do another unboxing and review. Today we're going to be looking at another Razer product. This is a gaming mouse, and the particular model is the Jugan, or Jugan. Not sure how to pronounce that. Hopefully one of those is correct. Okay, now if you haven't heard of the Jugan before, actually nor had I, and I really like Razer products, so I was kind of surprised this one sneaked by me. But actually, now that I know what's going on, not surprising at all. This is exclusive to the Chinese market. So if you go on Razer's website here in America, you won't find this model. You do the same thing for the Hong Kong Razer site, still you won't find it. But if you go to the Chinese one, then there it is, and it appears. Okay, now before we go any further, note this is an official Razer product. This isn't a knockoff, this isn't an imitation. So let's go ahead and take a look around the box here. And as you can tell, we have the what we come to expect as a Razer product with the great black and green. And so on the front, here's your first clue that this isn't a North American market product. You see you have the Chinese characters here, but and that also continues on the back. And I am happy, though, that they included English actually on top of the Chinese as far as the specs come, just because that way for people like me that get it, you can see the specs. So it says this has a true 7200 DPI optical sensor. It's ambidextrous, so you can use it either left or right-handed. So it's symmetrical. See that? Okay. And also it's powered by Razer Chroma lighting, so we're going to get those 16.8 million customizable color options. And yes, it lights up. And as you can see here from the cover art, that it lights up with the ring around the base. The one I currently have lights up here, and of course the Razer logo. But so this is well, should look nice on the mouse pad. Okay, and we have some specs down here. I'll just go ahead and read them out in case they're not coming up on the camera. So all these specs exclude the cable, so just the actual main mouse. Its length is 114.7 millimeters, width is 63 millimeters, height is 37.3 millimeters, and its weight is 78 grams. We have a QR code, and then on the bottom, on the bottom we have the system requirements, and again, written in English, so that's helpful. You basically need Windows 7 or higher to run it, obviously a USB port, and it also says you're going to need 500 megabytes of free hard disk space, so I'm assuming that is for drivers and whatnot. But speaking on that, it's good to know that while I was on the Chinese Razer website, out of what I could read, there was something in English that said Synapse. So I'm going to hope that this actually syncs up with the Synapse software that further gives you increased functionality with your device and customization stuff, which I'm sure is one of the main things is going to be the color of the LEDs. Okay, all right. So now also let's go ahead and talk about down here. This is a 2017 Razer product. You can see here with all the legal stuff on the bottom here. So this is a current model. It's not some model from way back when. Okay, and here at the top we have this cool holographic logo with, of course, Razer's three-headed or three snakes design. So I guess this means it's genuine. And also there's some other stuff again in Chinese, so I can't exactly tell you what that says. However, I do see a tablet with a QR code in the middle of it. So perhaps scan the QR code. Let's talk about the name real quick before we get to the unboxing. As you may know, Razer has a naming scheme with all their products. They're usually all snakes like Death Adder, Lancehead, Mamba, or they're mythical creatures like the Kraken. Now, I looked up what Jugan is, and just a quick internet search found that the only result that came up was a Magic the Gathering card, and it was a green creature, and it's a big Chinese-style dragon, and it's green, and yeah, so I guess that's consistent with their naming scheme. So, all right, let's go to the unboxing. All right, so I just took off the little sticker at the top of the box. Once you do that, you can use this flap here to open. Got the retail hanger here at the top. See if I can get around pulling that up. Yeah, well, we're just going to go for it. Okay, there we go. Nothing else in the package. Also, just the inside of the box is colored black as well. True commitment to the black and green, right? Okay. So we have an instruction manual. As you may guess, it's in Chinese/English. Okay. Looks like kind of like a little schematic. Okay, those must be the different LED effects: breathing, reactive, spectrum cycling, and static. Okay, and then connect it. Oh, there we go. So you can see there, Razer Synapse. So, okay. Let's get to the item here. Let's go. Sticker. Have quite a few of those now, but I keep them because they are so cool. Okay, and all right. So here's the cable, and got the cool trademark green in the USB. Yep, and all right. So, well, it feels like a mouse. Buttons feel nice. Track wheel feels good. And there's on the bottom. Okay. Now, so while I was opening it, I kind of caught a glimpse of what it says here on the back. At the very top, it says minimalism mastered. So this is supposed to be a kind of elegant but simple design. You notice there are no buttons on the side here. There's no buttons over here. There's nothing. Yeah, so it's really just the two buttons, track wheel, and of course the track wheel could be a button too because you can press it down. So we are at, 3 buttons and a wheel. All right, the LED, you see here around the base, you see that strip there that has that opaquish white. That's obviously where the LEDs are going to shine through, and they do run almost completely around the mouse. They only separate at the very top here. So, and yep. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get this connected, and we'll take it from there. Alright, so here we can see the Jugan on the left and the Death Adder on the right, the one that's shining green right now. Yeah, so you can see there definitely is a size difference, with the Jugan being slightly smaller, but noticeably. Also, if we look at the buttons on the Death Adder, you can see how they go down and come back up. So they kind of flare up and out, as where the Jugan is just a straight. They still do have a well for your finger, but you can see the very prominent flares are not there. But probably more notable as far as differences go is we can see the Death Adder has the hump, or the highest part of the mouse, right near the center, as we're here with the Jugan, it's all towards the back. So it's going to be a different hand position as well. So noting that, we'll go. Okay, so I went ahead and plugged in the Jugan, and well, a couple things are happening. Well, first of all, it seems that my Razer Synapse, the software that allows you to do all the customization, it's reinstalling. I keep in mind I already had that, so I'm not sure if it's detected a more up-to-date version or whatnot. So anyway, that's been reinstalled. But while that happens, I thought this would be a good chance to talk about the grip compared to the Death Adder. Now, I've been using this for a while, the Death Adder, and I've become really accustomed to it, and I like it a lot. But trying to be objective about this, I believe there's an advantage to this shape, the Death Adder, with the bump being up here in the middle. Essentially, that bump, when you have your hand on it, that bump kind of acts like a shelf. So when you draw back the mouse real quick, your fingers, because they're kind of coming over and down because of this bump, they kind of, like a claw, they kind of drag the whole mouse back, which is what you want, right? And when, of course, when you're pushing forward, well, you got this big mass to push with your hand. So both directions, you have control over it. Now with this mouse, because the bump's all here in the back, I noticed that my fingers are like kind of like trying to reach and like kind of reach up and grab the front of the mouse. But most of my hand is limited to being back here because that's where the butt of the mouse is, right? So when you do that pull back, since you don't have that shelf, you can kind of like bring your hand off of the mouse. I mean, I know if you're grabbing it tight, that shouldn't matter, but it's just something that I think that has an advantage. Let's talk about the lights on top. Not so much this or this, we'll get to that in a bit, but there's no light in the mouse wheel. As where this one, the Death Adder, you can see that band of white? Well, that's where the LEDs would be shining out of. So, and I actually like that because even when you have your hand on the mouse, you can still see the lights because they're shining between your fingers. Now, let's talk about wires. So here is the wire from the Jugan, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's just your typical wire with that rubber insulation. And I know I just uncoiled it, so it kind of still has the little spring-shaped shape, but just something to note, this is not like the Death Adders here that has this braided cable. So just something to note, this braided cable actually I like it because as you can see it just kind of goes straight and it doesn't maintain this coiled shape as much. Also it slides over things easier. This is kind of grippy, so that's another thing. This here is just the rubber band that was holding the cable in a bundle, well, in the packaging. Of course, this can be removed. I just haven't done that yet. Okay, so yeah. Oh, and let's also talk about the connector. Can I drag this over? Yeah, I can. Okay, great. So this here is the connector, the USB for the Death Adder. And I don't know if it's coming up on camera, but that is plated. You see, oh, there you go. See that gold plate? So that's something that the Jugan does not have. And also note that this plug where you grab is extended. So as where the Jugan has that real compact one that only comes like to about there. So this here, the one for the Death Adder, is a lot easier to grab, insert than this one from the Jugan. Alright, so I got Razer Synapse version 3 running here, the one that was prompted to be installed once I connected my Jugan mouse. Yeah, I noticed my Kraken headset, the Kraken 7.1 V2s, they're not glowing right now. I'm not sure if they have to be added, although on the previous version of Synapse, it auto-detected them, so I'm not sure. However, this Synapse 3 is in beta, so let's just chalk up the headphones not lighting up right now to that and move on with the mouse in question here, which is the Jugan. So as you can see here, there's some customization of the buttons you can do. You'll notice there's also, what is that, left hand, right hand option down there. So for, alright, now up here there's other tabs. There's the performance tab, which essentially gives you the ability to change the sensitivity. There's stages 1 through 5, with stage 5 being the max, which is 7200 DPI. Okay, and I'm not sure if you can type in, oh, look at that, you can type in how much DPI you want, so you can break your stages up however you see fit. Okay, so I'll put it back to stage 3, which is preset at 3600, but of course you could change that if you want. Alright, we know there's a polling rate. We have from 125 up to 1000, and there's only 3 steps for that. I'll leave it at 500, middle of the road for right now. Go into lighting. Okay, you have your brightness level over here on this slider. You have some options for when the light stays on or turns off. Now up here we have effects. If you see, there's 2 things. There's the quick effects and advanced effects. Advanced effects goes into this Chroma Studio, which I believe is new for Synapse 3. I'm not sure if I'm incorrect on that. Correct me in the comments, but this is the first time I'm seeing it. Okay, so if you take off the advanced effects, you get the quick effects. These are the kind of out-of-the-box effects that come with the mouse. And I'm going to go ahead and switch the mouse pad here to a white one to give the best showing of the colors, or the LEDs. So, alright. Alright, now I have it on. Let me start with the most basic one, which is static. And of course you can pick a color for that. I have Razer Green. Surprise, surprise. Okay, so then that's pretty self-explanatory. It just stays on. Now, if you go up to the next one, which is the spectrum cycling, this is your rainbow mode, and it'll go ahead and go through all the colors. Alright, so you can see how it's changing colors. Alright, now there's this reactive. This one here is essentially, it's only on when you do something. And notice moving the mouse does not qualify as something to make it light up. it seems to be all about clicking. So if I click, it lights up and then it goes off. You can change the duration. That was medium. So I'll put this short. So this is the most rapid. You push the button and yeah. Alright. And the other one, on the other side, you have long. And when you do that, it stays on for notably longer. Okay. Now let's put that back to medium. Should I want to use that one? Okay. And then I will go to the last of the quick effects, which is breathing. Again, with this one, you can select what color. Of course, we'll keep Razer green for now. And you can see it basically does the breathing thing. Goes on and off. Okay. There's also a cool option here at random color. So you can click that in case you can't make up your mind. And we'll see what color we get. Ooh, blue. Pretty. Okay. That was a good random color. Alright. Let's go back to green. Alright, so now I talked about the quick effects. Let's go up to here. You can see there's this advanced effects. When you click that, quick effects goes gray. So now it's all being controlled by this. And to, I guess, the advanced part is when you go to Chroma Studio, which, see here, you get here. So you get this representation of your mouse. You can select different colors. It appears you can click on certain parts of the mouse to have it glow different colors. And then over here we have some additional cool effects, such as fire, ripple, and wave. Oh, and starlight. So those are all ones that you can't get in quick effects. Now, I haven't really played around with this too much. That'll be something to do. Okay, so that's that. Now there's one. Let's go back over to the mouse. Get out of this Chroma Studio. Go back to lighting. I'm going to go take advanced off to get back to my quick effects, and I'll keep breathing right now. There's one other thing up here. This is calibration. So right now you can see I did default. I didn't calibrate anything. However, you can, and also you can add a surface. So let's see what that's all about. Okay, so, and as we can guess, they list all the Razer surfaces you can buy, but I don't have that. It says your sensor requires fine-tuning in order to effectively use this pre-calibrated Razer mouse mat. Okay, so are they all going to be Razer things? Yeah, at least for now. I haven't looked through it extensively, but it seems to be all Razer products as far as this mouse pad goes. So that being the case, I'll just back out of that for now and use the pre-calibrated one, or default, I guess we'll call it. Alright, so I've been using this mouse now for about a day. I've done gaming, some work, and also just surfing the web. And the more I'm using it, the more I'm starting to like it. Now let's start with the gaming session, because that was an important turning point for me in my like of this mouse. Now, while I was playing, doing my gaming with it, it did work. It worked fine. No complaints, okay? But it was at that point I decided that I would not be using this as my dedicated gaming mouse. Instead, that duty would remain for the Death Adder. This is just set up better for gaming. Okay, so at that point, when I stopped looking at this as a potential competitor to that, which it really isn't, I was able to better appreciate what this mouse can do. And what it does well is essentially, I'm going to talk about the low profile, both as an expression and also as literally it has a low profile. And those both fit into its ability to be used in a maybe office work environment. Now I know it has a lot of lights on it, but again you can turn those down or off completely, and at that point you have a better than normal mouse for work. But at the same time, if for whatever reason you decide to do a little gaming, maybe the meeting isn't for an hour, you have something that can perform adequate. So that's where I think the strength of this mouse is. Also, its ambidextrous design makes it so people who happen to be left-handed can use it just as well as someone who is right-handed, something that obviously isn't the case with something like this. Alright, so with that being said, this little mouse here will become my new carry with laptop mouse. And I think it'll do well in that duty.